Hello. Somebody's asked me for a video about my art on the roll, my latest art on the roll. I did create some art on a roll a couple of years back. Actually, I think it was at the beginning of the pandemic, so it was 2020 when I was doing the 100-day project and I did art on a roll. And I did use one of these till rolls, cash register rolls, that I had left over from when I had the shop. I was inspired by a lady on Instagram, Keely Wynn Conrad, Colour Crush Creative, who had got one of the big IKEA paper rolls, cut it in half, and she created acrylic landscapes and flower scenes on there. I wanted to do something a lot smaller, so I did it on a till roll, and I did 18 inches each night for 100 days. So I ended up with 2 till rolls full of art, mostly collage and experimenting with inks and things. This time I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I've started on here, just get it the right way around, and I'm just using stamps, little bits of scraps of paper, some of my doodles, and just fairly simple supplies. And I'm just doing a little section, maybe a little cluster, a little focal bit of stamping, and then I'm leaving a bit of a space so I can rip that off and use that on a journal page or on a bookmark or something. But it also looks quite joined up. It looks as if it belongs together. I've done a bit of paper burning here, which I love. When I started, run it back to this one, this was a stamp by Seth Apter for Paper Artsy, and I hadn't used it very much, and I thought, yeah, that'll look quite nice on there. So I stamped it on there, and while I had the stamp set out, I thought there's some other stamps on here that I haven't actually used very much. So I've decided I'm going to get one of my Paper Artsy stamp sets by Seth, and use that, and use every single stamp in the stamp set on here, so that it makes me dig out stamps that I haven't been using very much and use them. I use this one quite a lot. As I say, that's the paper burning, little scraps. This one I think I've only used once, but I like the way you can put it off the edge, and the grids on the scraps of paper along with the squares on here I liked. Let's see, this is a combination of 2. This is a lovely texture stamp in the background here, but then there's this sort of mark making style one, which again I'd used a bit but not a lot. It does get a bit of out of hand as I unroll it. This was some stained tissue that I just glued on, again with another one of Seth's stamps. This one was just some spray ink that I splattered on, made some marks with a bottle top, and again another one of the stamps, and I went off the edge and I went this way as well. So I'm going to continue on with this. I think what I need to do is roll the other end up. So we'll go back a little. I may stop the video, roll it up and then come back. Right, so we're back. I've got a little bit more control of it now. I've got the roll that I'm going to use. The mark at the top and the bottom, a couple of years ago, I decided, I had one of these laying on my desk, and I would try and get it to soak some coffee stain up. So I sat it in I think it was a saucer of coffee, that way up, so the coffee was at the bottom. Then I turned it the other way up, and I sat it there for a couple of days thinking it would wick up and it would make a nice ombre effect. It didn't. It just went top and bottom. But I quite like that idea, and it is quite usable. So this is not constrained at all. It can roll. The bottom bit, just for ease of using it, I've wrapped it round this empty paint bottle and just put a paper clip, just so it basically stops it from rolling everywhere. When I did the 100-day project, I actually discovered that if I had it on a roll at each end and put something to weight it at each end as well, so that I could work without it moving about a lot. So I'll just put a jam jar of rust stain at the top and a bit of full paint pot at the bottom, so hopefully you'll be able to see the full, yeah, you can see the full extent of it. And I'm just going to work on this and you'll get the idea of what I'm going to do. I've got various scraps of papers, all sorts of things. That's quite a nice, it was a tester piece for when I'd been going to paint with some rust, just tea stained paper, and I was adding water and getting the varying degrees. I quite like that, so we can use that. As I say, I'm just using up scraps. I've got my PVA, but I've also got my glue stick. As long as you put plenty of glue on the back of the papers when you're using a glue stick, they do stick on. And I'm going to leave a little bit of a edge showing. And I'm just putting plenty of glue on the back of my scraps. I don't think you can see, I think it's out of shot, but basically I'm just adding plenty of glue. I'm going to overlap it slightly. So I quite like that effect. Let's see, what else have we got that we could use? Quite like that. So we'll just get our big scissors. I don't think I need the full length of it. Yep. And as I say, the idea is that it is very simple. Now, some of these bits will be better with PVA, but we'll see. And I quite like the brown edge. Right, so we've got a start with our papers. We've got this brown, it's supposed to be packing tape, which is quite nice. And I'm just going to add a bit of that here and there. Somebody asked if I actually added gesso. I didn't, but obviously you could do if you wanted. Right, and I tend to just add the scraps until they're used up. So we'll do a bit of stamping. We've got this one, ESA 35. I tend to work in this orientation because I think then if I'm adding it to a journal page it can go top to bottom, but equally if there was no wording it could go either way. And let's see, I think we'll use this little dotty one. I like that one. And I think we need a contrast, so we'll go with black. And it's just play really, just having a go and playing. And I always like a bit of repetition. So that's 3 bits like that. Just stamp it off. So let's have a look. I think I need something a little bit more solid. Yes, we've got that one. That's quite nice. Just my little tiny stamping block. And I quite like the fact that we've got blobs here. So I want a blob there. Now it might not work on some of this because, oh it has, because we've got this raised bit. And I think I need 3. Yeah, 3 is nice. But I also want one down here. But you can experiment and just go off the edge with some of them. Like that. So I'm relatively happy with that. I think we'll just have a bit of interest in these squares. And you're just playing basically. Yeah, I think that I like that. So we'll leave that little section as it is and we'll move on to the next. But as you can see, turn that over so we don't get the distraction. It's quite interesting, but it's just a small section and it would go on a journal page. So then I can just wind it round. There we are. Clip it. And move on to the next section. We'll have a bit of a gap. Putting the bottle there makes you have a little bit of a gap as well. So let's see what else we've got. Oh, we've got this nice circle. I like this one. Put these. I've got this tissue because if I did any spray inks it would absorb the spray inks, but actually if you do any stamping to clean your stamps into the background, it's really quite nice to use the tissue later. So we'll stick that on there. This time I think we'll go with a brown, so we'll ground espresso. We'll do the stamping first this time and then add some other bits. We'll go there. And we can do second generation stamping as well. And for repetition we'll just go here as well. That's that. Thinking as I go along. This is quite nice. It's another one of those days where things just conspire against me. Yeah, quite like that. This was just trying out one of my new die sets. It was the Tim Holtz one, Sizzix one. Yeah, I quite like, it's not quite straight. I quite like the fact that we've got the circles but we've got the squares as a contrast. yeah, quite like that there. I'm going to use, glue stick's fighting back today. I'm going to use my PVA. I think my glue stick might just not get in all the areas and maybe not be strong enough for all these little bits and pieces. Right. I've got quite a lot of scraps of paper here as well. We'll go there. Let's have a dig and see what else we've got. As I say, we've got scraps of paper. Yeah, quite like that there. That's it. We'll just have oops, just a bit too high up. That's it. We've got lines, we've got circles, I like that. Now, I've just seen something on my lid of my glue stick. There's two little arrows. So we'll just see if this will print. So I've just got my ink pad. I'm just going to get this and press. Oh yes, I like that. That's really good. So I think we'll go here. That's it. Yeah, I really like that. I will use that again. And as I say, we can just go onto our tissue, because later on I can use this for collaging. Yes, I really like that. I must remember that. Must remember to clean the top though, lest you get it all over your fingers. But actually there's this as well. This is quite a nice mark making. There we are. Yeah, a nice circle. So you get the idea. I'm sorry if you can hear my phone ringing. So you get the idea. I'll just move this out of the way, and then you can see where we're going. So that's another nice section. Now I've got some of my burnt washi tape here. I watched a live with Seth Apter, and he had some washi tape which was already die cut, and it looked as if it was burnt. Well, his minimum order is $200 to ship from the US, so I couldn't get any. So I decided to have a play. So I just stuck some of my, I think this is All and Create washi tape, onto some tissue. It was just some napkin layers I had left over, and then used a bamboo skewer to burn holes in it. And I absolutely love how it looks. So I'm going to use a bit of that, a bit of this on here. Now obviously, because I've stuck it to the tissue, it isn't adhesive anymore, but that it was a lot easier to control because it was stuck to the tissue, rather than having basically flames and washi whirling around all over the place. Was not a good idea. So I stuck it to some tissue so it was more controllable. So I'm going to glue a bit of that on for the next section using my glue stick. Obviously it's backed onto tissue, so that will stick quite easy. Get it up to the edge. And I actually like the fact that the burnt holes show really, really nicely on the pale background. I might do some more paper burning on here as well, which there is a video about burning paper a little bit further back in my videos. There we are, we've got two sections there. But I think we'll do a bit of stamping as well. Let's make sure that's stuck down. What shall we have? I think we'll have this one, which is this one here. That's quite a nice one. It's sort of a feathery one. Yeah, I'll do a bit of freestyle stamping. So we won't mount it onto a block, we'll just use it with our fingers. Yeah, quite like that there. And we'll have another one coming in here. And again. I think we'll join them up. Yes, that looks better joined up. Quite a strong one at that corner. Yeah, quite like that. I think it needs something else. I'm into mark making with found objects at the moment, so we'll just our pen top, because we've got circles here. I think we'll just have a little bit of repetition. Yeah. Don't forget to go off the edge, so that it looks as if it carries on. Yeah, I think that's quite a nice little section again. And we've used this stamp this time. So I think I'll call it a draw for now. You get the idea. We're doing a bit of collaging with bits and pieces we've got left over. And then we're adding a bit of stamping and just going with what you feel like, basically. You could just put anything you want on, and it's just basically, I'm going to keep to the neutrals, blacks, beiges and rusts on here, because I think it will look nice and cohesive, and then it'll be quite useful for journals and focal points for journal pages, tags, etc. So I think that'll be fine. Just wondering, actually, seeing as I've got my jar of rusty goodness here, I'm just going to dip my fan brush into this. This is rusty water, and see if I can add a few splashes. Maybe yeah. Oh, that's nice. We'll just feather it across and see. Oh, quite like that. Yeah, that'll do. I think that's enough. So I'll call it a draw, and I hope you like this, and I hope you give it a go. I'll just lift that off. I'll just, so you can see it a bit better, I'll just put it on a white background. Actually, just dab the rust a little bit. There we are, so that's that section. So you can see it's got a nice lot of interest.